Welcome back, everybody. It is November 12th, 2018, 8:48 p.m. Happy to be back. Work week is over. For those of you that are not aware of the current schedule, at least for this channel, for the time being, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, unfortunately, it's very, very hard for us to put out content. If we do, it'll more than likely be a phone video of breaking news or anything like that. It's just because of our work schedule. We're both on an overnight schedule. We work nights, so our work week is a little bit different than the average person's. I'm sure a lot of you out there work nights. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So you only have a certain amount of time to do things. But trust me, this channel's not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere, and we are going to have more time in the near future to focus on this stuff. I feel so bad getting messages and comments from people talking about, oh, where have you been? What's going on? I hope everything's okay. Yes, we are absolutely fine. Everything is great. It's just not enough hours in a day sometimes, which is just, it gets very frustrating sometimes because we both, Caroline and I, love this stuff. We wish this could be our jobs, but unfortunately, it does not support life as of right now. With that said, we have a lot to talk about, guys. There's so much going on in the world right now. Mostly unfortunate stuff, which is just, it's just one thing after another, especially for the fires in California. I spoke briefly about that in a message I left on my page. I believe it was yesterday or the day before. The town I used to live in California has actually been evacuated in LA County, Thousand Oaks, where that shooting was. Parts of that area have been evacuated. Simi Valley, all sorts of areas in Southern California. And then the Northern California fire, the Camp Fire, they're calling it, has now been actually ruled the deadliest fire in California's history. And it just seems like every time there's a fire in California, we're talking about another record-breaking situation. So just no relief going on anywhere. Northern California, even though the temperatures are low, it's still very prone to fires. You got the Santa Ana winds in Southern California, which basically come straight down from the sky and they ride the mountains and then they just kick these fires all over the place. I actually think there's a third fire that has just been reported and talked about. I believe Mary Greeley News brought that up. Good job to her for putting out that info. Great news source she is, her page. But with that said, guys, let's move on here. Let's talk about some weather, and we'll get in a little bit about these fires. Yeah, it's cold, to say the least. Look at some of these temperatures, guys. 11 degrees, 7 degrees, North and South Dakota. 30s, 19, 22, 9 degrees. I mean, can it get any colder? It's November 12th, and we are already dealing with mid-February temperatures. And not only that, we have the moisture moving up to the northeast that is going to, let's just say, bring some snow to the northeast, which has already been hit in some areas. Now, this is our 5-day chart of moisture. Now, this isn't exactly snowfall. This is more of a moisture chart, but you can see there's a lot that is moving up to the northeast in the coming days. We're going to look at that on Tropical Tidbits because a lot of these could be nor'easters, and we have one coming up actually, so we're going to check that out. Just look at this strip of moisture coming in from the Gulf. So obviously the Gulf moisture is warm. As it moves up into the northeast, it's mixing with all this cold purple and blue air you see, which is coming down from Canada. And the second we get that touch right here, it turns into snow and ice. Every night for the last week, it's been icy out, at least in northeast Pennsylvania. I know northern New York, Erie, places like that, they've already had some massive amounts of snowfall. And Tuesday going into Wednesday, we could be looking at another 10 to 15 inches in some parts of New York. We got Vermont and New Hampshire mixed in there, Massachusetts, parts of Connecticut. Basically, the northeast states are at pretty significant risk for snowfall in the next 2 days. With more to follow. This is not it by any means. So this is actually the second. You can see your second and more potent storm could significantly add to these totals later in the week, is what it says down below. We've already had one snow dumping that, like I said, dumped a significant amount of snow in the higher elevations. But now we're going to be dealing with snowfall on an all-around basis. Basically, the entire Northeast is going to start seeing snow. And looking at tropical tidbits, guys, it's just, again, wave after wave after wave of these low systems that are riding up the East Coast and giving us that 9 symbol. Excuse me. Really quick, let's talk about this. We have a invest in the Atlantic Ocean, the potential for Hurricane Patty. We are on letter P. After that would be Raphael, if we can make it that far. We have had a little bit of break since Hurricane Oscar, which reached a Cat 2. That was October 27th through the 31st. And now we are dealing with the potential 80% chance of cyclone over 5 days. It's actually at 60% over the next 48 hours. So we could see this cyclone within the next 2 days. And the path of it is still a little bit unknown. They are, as of right now, for the most part, think that a system moving west to east across the U.S. is going to aid in pushing this back out into the ocean. You can see our black triangle line here. That is the current direction. That is not a spaghetti plot. That is just the way the storm is going as we speak right now. But you can also see some of these plots take this thing through the Dominican Republic and Haiti and Cuba. If that is the case, more than likely the land interaction will keep this storm at bay unless somehow it can end up in the Gulf and then re-strengthen, and then, you know, that's a few days away, so we need to keep an eye on this. Hopefully this is what happens, is this thing moves up and then out, because the last thing we need right now is a hurricane to threaten Florida while we're dealing with the West Coast fires and the Northeast nor'easters and just all this chaos going on in the world right now. That is just too much for one video. That's why I apologize for jumping all over the place, but I like to catch you guys up when we haven't talked in a couple days. Now you can follow this chart here. This is a county by county chart, and you could see when you match it with the temperature chart, we got this big giant dip in the jet stream. Now this thing's huge. That is why the entire country is basically cold right now, is because this dip is starting by Washington, coming all the way down through Texas. Look at some of these temperatures in Texas, guys. 25, 28, and that's right now. These are current temperatures going on. And then tomorrow you could see 90 degrees in Texas. That's what's very interesting about that state. But just you could see the clear dip. Just follow the blue or it touches the yellow, goes right up to the northeast, and then when you go to the county by county chart, you can see how that wave comes down this way, and as it touches the warmer climate areas, you're looking more of tornadoes and flash flood warnings. But then in Texas, you got freeze warnings. These are all freeze warnings. The purples out here are deep freeze warnings. We got heavy snowfall warnings going up in the upper northeast into Maine. So just all kinds of weather going on, and then obviously the fire risk in South Carolina, and then or South California, and then Northern California with the Woolsey fire that has claimed the lives of 2 people as of right now. They're talking a lot about the celebrity houses involved in this. I just heard Neil Young and Jared Butler's houses were destroyed. Something with the Kardashians. I'm not even going to get into that type of stuff, but so this is these fires are in places where there's a lot of money, so it's going to be a lot of money to rebuild. You know, if they rebuild at all, I mean, who at this point, it's like, if these fires are going to continue to do this, is this going to be a normal trend? Is it going to be even possible to live in some of these areas anymore after such devastating fires? This has been going on for just over 2 years now, that we've had just one fire topping the next as time progresses. So it seems like it's an ongoing trend. I don't know if it's a change in global weather as a whole, if it's a new cycle. I've talked about that in the past, if the Earth is going through a cycle that we have never seen before, or if there's other things that play here. But regardless, the main point is that the weather is just incredible right now. There are so many different things going on, and it's not normal. There's nothing normal about this situation with between the fires, the hurricanes, the nor'easters. I want to get to tropical tidbits here. In fact, let's do that right now before we get too deep into this video here. I don't want to lose you guys. So, all right, let's check this out. Forecast models. We'll use the GFS. We'll change the regions real quick. We'll get the entire Atlantic, and I just want you to see this because it's just quite a sight. All right, and we're going to check out the Canadian model, actually, because they've been a little more accurate with some of these expansions I'm going to show you. I had to take a small break to eat something. I just had a piece of pickled pizza. unbelievable. My brother just gave it to me. For those of you that like to try different types of foods, I know a little off topic, but had to let you know. Anyway, check this out. So we're at the 12th right now. That moisture chart I showed you right here. We're going to show this on Tropical Tidbits now, and then watch what happens to this system as it gets right towards Nova Scotia. The expansion of this is like I rarely have seen anything like this before. So you can see it right there. This is what's going to bring those rain totals I just showed you once again right here. So we're current time. Get back to this chart. Now watch this. It comes up past Maine and then under Nova Scotia, and then check that out. It's very rare to see expansion storms of this size. This is the size of the United States itself, this entire system. And then as we move towards Ireland and the UK, you could see how it kind of just, boom, goes right up the coast of it. And before it even finishes, we have yet another potential nor'easter that is moving across the country as we speak. It's kind of coming down from this direction. A little bit of moisture from the Gulf is aiding in this, but once again, the temperatures are so low right now that any moisture that gets up into this area will be snow. And we're talking as far south as West Virginia, even the top areas of Virginia itself. And in the near future, we could be talking about snow once again in North Carolina or the Carolinas. You never know, especially with what's been going on lately. But just look at this. Look at the size of this low pressure system and the expansion and how quickly it happens. We're talking from this point until this point is less than 24 hours. So very quickly moving. The jet stream is pushing these things very quickly across. And what that's doing is that's speeding up the cycle of how many are coming. And you can see right here on this chart, guys, after that expansion goes right towards the UK and Ireland, and then right after that, right on its heels, another one. We have a high pressure bubble right here in the Atlantic that's forcing everything pinned to the northeast and to the east coast of the U.S., and then it follows the same path. It goes over top, expands, and goes towards Ireland and the UK, and it's just this repeating pattern. There's one there. That's definitely going to bring snowfall, especially to like Nantucket, Long Island. All those areas are going to start feeling these nor'easters again. And then watch this. As this one exits, it expands again. And then there's another one. There's a third one right there. This is by the 20th? Yes, okay, so the 20th. So we still have time for this to even backtrack a little bit and actually do this low pressure spin over the northeast. So we are looking into the future. It's hard to predict what's going to go on in the future, let alone what's going to happen tomorrow. So we will cover this over the next couple days, being that we're off, but it is just not looking promising, at least for the northeast, for the next couple weeks. And then keep in mind, guys, we have a hurricane, a possible hurricane in the mix with all this. Now, on the CMC, I know I said this with the GFS. I switched to the CMC. We can get a little bit of a sight of that low pressure that they're calling an invest down in this area. The CMC is showing it as a non-threat as far as a hurricane, but you could see it comes up right there, and then it meets with another low pressure system. So hurricane or not, when you have a cyclone formation, it's a low pressure system. So it's going to ride up the East Coast, whether it's a cyclone or not. It's meeting with another low pressure system, which could be a nor'easter. Not too common to get the hurricanes this time of year. I have a chart pulled up, actually, or I did at least. Let's see if we could find it. I want to show you this because it's pretty important for this time of year to show you exactly where our peak season is and where we are right now. I used this chart last year, that's why I have this part marked, but obviously our peak season is September for hurricanes. As you get into October, there's a pretty big dip in the numbers of hurricanes or cyclones. It kind of jumps up a little bit towards the end of October and then basically just downfalls. And now basically we are in this area. We are just after November 10th, which is like this. So to see this storm forming and the percentage they're giving on it is not super rare, but it's rare enough to where it's basically out of season as the season ends officially on the 30th. So definitely going to keep an eye on that. I don't know that we're going to get to Tropical Storm Raphael, but if Patty stays this way, we could be dealing with a tropical system moving up the northeast and then meeting with another low pressure system. Who knows what that's going to bring to the northeast? So, and that also involves the southern states too. A lot of rain and saturation is going to be building up in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. And then once we get to that Virginia, West Virginia, Chesapeake Bay, and Delaware area, that's where the snow is going to begin, and that's where it's really going to start getting interesting over the next couple weeks. So, like I said, guys, sorry for jumping around so much, but so much to cover, and I like to get a lot of information out at once. I know it's sometimes hard to watch long videos, but I'm going to have a lot of little updates coming up in time. I want to try to get another one out tonight. If not, then tomorrow. I've dedicated myself to these videos. 3.0 earthquake in Oklahoma a little while ago, by the way. Like I said, I'm jumping around today. But obviously the main issue right now, guys, are these fires. I'm sorry about that with the mic. You could see this yourself, guys. This is just a very, very bad situation. We have, what I heard, over 300 people missing now. I saw this one article where Martin Sheen was actually out in public looking for Charlie Sheen. Apparently, Charlie Sheen was missing or still is missing. I still need to look into it. I'm basically getting updated on this as I'm talking to you guys, so that's how much time I've had to really dig into this stuff. But nonetheless, I've lived in this exact area where these fires are. It's a very, very bad situation. Ventura County is the exact county I lived in. A lot of people have lived there. I have a lot of followers that live in Southern California, a lot of comments from the post I put up the other day. So we basically just have to think about these people, pray for them, hope that a lot of these people are found before it's too late. We all know how these fires go. Sometimes it's just there's nothing good about them. And then once an area is destroyed, it takes years for that area to regrow. And then you got to think about rebuilding and stuff like that. So horrible situation going on. Nor'easters, hurricanes, earthquakes, you name it. That's about all I got for you for right now, guys. I'm going to get a little more detailed into specific areas of the Carolina fires and the nor'easters. This was just an overall video to cover what we've missed over the last couple days. So that is your update for now. Like I said, I'm going to try to get something out later tonight about more specifics in the Southern California and the Northern California fires, and then a separate video for the nor'easters we're going to be dealing with. So expect videos from the channel coming soon. I'm sorry it took me so long to do this, but like I explained at the beginning of the video, it's just we're trying to get our schedule to the point where we can make this be a normal thing, where videos are coming out at a regular basis on certain days, and then on other days it's a little harder to do. So, all right, guys, with that said, I will let you go. I hope everyone has a great rest of your night, and we will talk later on tonight or tomorrow. Stay safe, everyone. Keep everyone in California in your thoughts and prayers, please. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. Have a great night.